Martin, Bill, Ted, Bob, Lalit, how are you? All right, if you guys can hear me and see my screen, then let's start. Let me pull up the right. Sharing. Okay. Welcome to Tradespoon and Yellow Tunnel. My name is Vlad Karpel. I'm CEO and founder of both companies. And today we're going to have a live trading room open to trade stock and options using our technology. For those of you who are new, welcome. If this is your first live event, do me a favor, type in first. Always want to welcome new subscribers. Disclosures are very important. I'm going to trade stock and options in my real account, so it's important to understand the risk associated with trading stock or options. If you're new to trading, I would encourage you to visit optionscreening.com so you can understand the risk associated with trading stock or options. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not registered with FINRA or SEC. I'm showing you what I do in my own account based on my own risk tolerance level for general education information purposes only. Please consult your. All right, trading psychology is important. The goal is to become confident trader, disciplined trader that able to generate part-time or full-time income. That takes time and practice to internalize this information. I think it starts with journaling. I encourage you to consider journaling and document every single trade. So in my personal case, I could gain, stop, loss, and then I have a checklist in terms of rules that I don't want to break before I get into the capital versus probability of success. So risk on capital, I look at 4 positions, right? I propose to have 4 positions to determine the drawdown, and then 2.5% of account value per position. How do you determine 2.5% account value per position? Let's look at spiders. We did have a pullback after the employment cost index came in significantly higher than I think everybody expected. And by the end of the day, especially into the close, market did sell off. Pre-market, we were below 500. We're currently trading at 501.43. So we closed the gap. We're trading below this breakdown level, which is 504. It opens the door to basically retesting. Last week low is the first one. I would say 500. We're at that level. So if the 500 level doesn't hold, which this was we already were at this level pre-market, so it opens the door to 494. We do have a Fed decision today, and then unemployment data on Friday. Based on the employment cost index, unemployment data again can come in, higher wages. Everybody has strong employment market, basically meaning higher for longer. And if you look at the interest rates, right, interest rates are highly correlated to equity market. I read somewhere it's 0.75 correlation between bonds and stock market in the past 3 years, which is very high correlation. You see that 10-year yield actually pulled back to 464. We were as high as 470. And 2-year yield actually broke above 5% and traded as high as 5.04. It's back to 5%. So, and dollar, strong good dollar. Dollar also rallied yesterday on the continuing weakness in Japanese yen. Data unwinding the carry trade, Japanese yen versus dollar, could cause more volatility in the market, and then 10-year yield and a dollar. All eyes on the Fed. So decision is 1 p.m. Then the press conference. Decisions probably everybody kind of already expects that they're not going to lower interest rates in May and rate cut in September. Are they doing December? Or maybe they don't do it at all. And what about quantitative tightening? And then so basically, is the tone overall hawkish or dovish? If it's hawkish, then 2-year yield could break above 5. And 10-year yield could break above 4.7. I would watch those levels. High yield also pulled back significantly. It's already revisiting the lows, right? So high yield is already the differential between the treasury market and junk bonds already back to April lows. So I would watch the 200-day moving average, very important support. I'm watching Bitcoin. Bitcoin drop about below 60,000. Also a good proxy for risk taking. So it's a risk off trade. And, you know, assuming today, tomorrow, we're trading below 50-day moving average, we could, you know, we could revisit 5,200, the breakout level, around 50,000, 52,000. In terms of earnings, we did have Amazon earnings. It's up 4% pre-market, so still strong. AWS, you know, investment in infrastructure, supporting AI, and Amazon is maybe basically recovered all of the losses from yesterday. So not a super positive reaction to the news, but nonetheless, you know, recovered yesterday's losses. Still trading below 50. Is it above or below? Oh no, we're back to 50-day moving average. So we're back to 50-day moving average, which is positive. So Amazon helped. AMD is down 6%. Pin interest is up 15%. Starbucks is down 14%, and SMCI is down 10%. So in terms of semiconductors, we moved 14% for quite some time. So again, makes sense to be long volatility. I did trade earnings, so we need to watch first 15 minutes for earnings in both Amazon and AMD. Amazon, I have a bullish butterfly, right? So Amazon, I would watch Amazon currently 200 call. Still quite away from the current level. And on Tradespoon, I also do it AMD. AMD is 140 put. So AMD 140, AMD was closer to 145 pre-market. I think it's bouncing back slightly. It's about 150, maybe even that caused the market to reverse because Spiders was down about 0.5% pre-market. So what do we have today, Wednesday? Oh, ADP employment and construction spending and manufacturing data. So we haven't had this data yet, but ADP employment, I guess, maybe come in a little bit weaker than expected. 7:15. All right, so let's look at the market. So I would watch AMD. Market is about to open. But now, can I do like yesterday, the close the butterfly for profit, the way we did with PayPal and LA Lily, or do I want to close the entire spread? So it's 146, 147, few percentage of ways. So let's see. So let's watch this trade. Let me know if you guys have any questions. All right, so AMD is at 147. Let's see. Uh, 145. Amazon is up 2%. So let's look at SMCI. So if you follow the SMCI, I think I did 700 put, right? So 700 put long, 650 short, and 600 long. And so SMCI continues to drift lower. AMD's, let's look at stable. Starbucks at session low. Amazon 2.5%. Let's see. So SoFi down 10 basis points. GE's up 80 basis points. Gold miners are up 1%. Bios are flat. Dow Jones rebounding, up 30 basis points. Semiconductors down 1.5%. QQQ is down 40 basis points. In terms of positioning, very interesting. I was watching. So May 3rd, which is this Friday, you do have position at 495. So it looks like next level of support is 495. But if you look at the today and tomorrow, a lot of sell and vol, right? It's not a lot, 4,000. You know, it's not as much as 40,000, but nonetheless, for today and tomorrow, a lot of people are selling 495 and even 491 puts, meaning that they are hoping that for 500 level will hold. So I would watch 500 level. I don't think there's a lot of support at 500, right? That means the door is open to, especially with negative position, to, well, the largest position, 20,000 is now 490. So if the 500 doesn't hold, we can swiftly for data from the Fed. So we'll see. Let's look at SMCI. So we have one candlestick. Let's see if we're gonna get second candlestick. Holding forever. So we have some real value stocks basically rebounding. They were leading the market to the downside for a couple of days. Now the technology. Let me know if you guys have any questions so far. Let's see. So SMCI is 7:45. Let's see. So you have 2 candlesticks. So SMCI 750. It's about 50 points from that 700 strike. And let's see, where's the AMD? And looks like AMD is rebounding also. So 942, we have almost 3 candlesticks. Don't know if you guys have any questions. So we almost have 3 candlesticks. Paul cannot be happy about lack of progress on inflation. I agree. We'll see what he says. Expectation that he's going to sound hawkish. So, good to see. Could you repeat butterfly if market rate shoots past the lower bound in put options? Once there, I mean, if the market shoots past lower bound in put options, I mean, if it, I'm not sure. Are we talking about butterfly in AMD or Amazon trade? Amazon trade for now, kind of. Let's see. Where's Amazon? Give me 1 second. Pretty far away from 200 level, but obviously after the Fed, it could go either way. So we'll see. So for now, AMD is rebounding at 150. Pins is up 16%. Starbucks down 15%. SMCI down 12%. Amazon is up 3%. So Amazon, let's see what this trades at. Let's put orders. These are liquid butterflies, so let's see. For now, let's just put an order to close. So I do have 200 to 10. So right now it's not worth anything. So Amazon has to move significantly higher, maybe another 4%. So I'll put an order to try to close it for maybe 60 cents and monitor. For now, these options are worthless. And AMD, the put butterfly is trading at AMD put butterfly is trading at 30 cents. So let's see if I can close it 75, so maybe 90 cents for a dollar. See if I can capture a dollar on put butterflies. Again, it's only Wednesday. Obviously, a lot of things are going to happen in the next couple of days. So AMD tried to close for a dollar the butterfly, and Amazon for 60 cents. Amazon is away, and AMD is maybe worth 30 cents right now. Let's look at SMCI. It's kind of unable to rally, kind of trading sideways. Let's look at spiders. Spiders is looks like continues to drift lower. I think pre-market it was at below 500, so it looks like it's continued to be weak. Dow Jones is flat, QQQ is down 0.5%, and semiconductors are down 1.5%. So SMCI is trying to hold 743 level. Let's look at positioning in SMCI. So 700 is the first spike. Yeah, so a lot of people, mostly in the weekly options, 700. So SMCI could gravitate towards 700 level. AMD, right? This is negative Vanna, so it could act as a, magnet or repellent. AMD 140. So there is a pretty large position at 140. If it can't hold on to this level, then it could drop to 140. So SoFi is actually up 3%. So it has rebounded. So AMD position is at 140, I would watch. And Amazon, let's see. I mean, the largest position is at 200, but you know, it has to get past 190. There's not much overhead resistance to 190, so it is probably, you know, if Powell sounds dovish, we could get to that level. We'll see. Any questions? AMD, Butterfly is AMD or Amazon? Both. So I do have Butterfly on both AMD and Amazon. I mean, they're kind of going in the opposite direction, right? Amazon is up, but not enough to reach the 200 call. You know, I mean, if Powell sounds bullish, dovish, I mean, most likely Amazon will rally, and it could get to 190 or even close to 200. So I put an order to close for 60 cents. Call Butterfly on Amazon. AMD, we've seen the demand for 140 puts, so it could drop to 140 AMD. So I would watch. So SMCI looks like it's breaking down. And let's see, is AMD breaking down? And I mean, it looks like AMD is also rolling over. So we need to watch both of these positions. Let's see an SMCI. Good morning. Straight at 147. So it looks like AMD is approaching that high open interest strike at 140. 956. Looks like SMCI is also losing ground. So if both AMD and SMCI, I did butterflies. So you have two strategies. One is you can close the long put, right? SMCI, let's say 700, and then, you know, buy back 650 put, and then just buy another 600 put, right? Convert from butterfly to a credit put spread. If you think 650 level will hold, right? It's just a question. Obviously, there's a risk, but you know, you can do a debit spread and credit spread, and then you know what your risk is. But SMCI is also kind of tricky because you have a position at 700, but then it could quickly drop to 650, right? Because of this large open interest. So it just depends on what the Powell is going to say. For now, it's weak, so I would just hold it. And at this point, you can probably close butterfly for a profit, right? Because we're at the 700 level. Probably for $5 or $6, you can close the SMCI butterfly. Let's see how much is AMD is worth. AMD is 50 cents. So AMD is getting close. How much did I pay for AMD? Let's see. So AMD, I paid 73 cents. So AMD, I paid 73 cents. If I make 30 cents, that's again 50% profit. Okay, so we'll watch AMD. Amazon is staying up 4%. In interest is at 39, Lemonade 6, Starbucks. All right, Starbucks, let's go. So I did butterfly and Starbucks, but it passed both strike prices, right? People really didn't like Starbucks earnings. They missed by a lot. So this is the example where positioning, well, we'll see, it's too early, but positioning Starbucks, interesting was, the biggest position was at 80, right? You know that this was the biggest position, and that's the strike price I selected, right? So 81, 79, 77, but it's trading at 75. It's trading at 75. I mean, you have small position at 70, right? You had small position 70 and 72, but nothing compared to the 80 strike. But, you know, we'll see if it can bounce back to, in theory, we wanted to bounce back at least to 77 or 78. Starbucks, so far it's been pretty weak. All right, let's look at interest rates. So 10-year yield did pull back. It's trading at 464. It was as high as 470. Dollar, probably flat. Dollar is flat. High yield continues to struggle. VIX is back to 16 level. So value stocks turning negative. Semiconductors down 2%. Spiders down 25 basis points. Still able to hold on to the 500 level. IWM is turning negative. Silver rebounding, gold rebounding. How's Bitcoin? Bitcoin is at 57,000. Nvidia down 2.5%. And crude oil back to 80 level, important 200-day moving average. They were incredible, much better than expected. We have a high expected high, not only. I agree. You know, I mean, I think the reason is because we had a pretty big pullback, right? 2% pullback yesterday, so pretty sharp pullback, and you have, you know, you have what do you have? Powell decision, right? Powell decision. So, but you know, depending on what Jay Powell is going to say, right? If he's going to say something negative that market doesn't like, well, then, you know, then obviously it's not going to gravitate toward that strike, right? At least 190 strike. If he says anything positive, we can quickly add to 190. But you can see there was a big demand, actually. Is it still there? Yeah, there is a lot of call selling at 200 level, right? So there are a lot of people bullish on Amazon with the expectation that they can reach actually 200 level. I mean, granted, this is June contract, but there's also a big position May 17, probably largest position in May 17 contract at 200 level. So if there was no Powell decision and market was flat yesterday, we would probably be at 200. But because market did sell off quickly towards the closing, people are just a little bit more cautious. GE, the low of the day, 160. Thank you. Did I close Amazon? I can't close Amazon because it's kind of worthless right now, right? It's not getting to the strike prices. It's still away $20, right? So Amazon will be hard to close. AMD, I think, is a better candidate. Let's see. And it's trading at 30 cents. So AMD is trading at 30 cents. I mean, NVIDIA continues to lose ground. Let's look at the other stocks. So it looks like SMCI continues to deteriorate. 730 level. You can switch to 15-minute strikes. 15-minute bar chart, sorry, 15-minute candlesticks. So let's see. And let's look at the market. So Spiders is basically fighting for the 500 level. It did it pre-market and now back to that level, 500. Value down 30 basis points. SEM is down 2%. QQQ down 0.5%. Any other questions? So if you did the SMCI put butterfly, then it's getting close to in the money, the long put, or near the money. So this is something you can probably close right now, unless you think it's going to continue going lower. The optimal strike is 650. All right, let's look at the other positions and orders. Let me see if I did anything else yesterday. So I did AMD, I did Amazon, and I closed LLY, right? And I closed XLE. SoFi is still out of the play and money. So XLE was a good decision to trade. It's at 93, back to 93. XLE. So back to 80 level, maybe after FOMC meeting, maybe it makes sense to add to energy. Even though crude oil inventory, I think, came in worse than expected, right? So build up in crude oil inventories, and that's causing the energy, excuse me, to pull back. So energy is also sitting on this kind of a double top. And 50-day moving average, 93.20. So let's review the positions. Since it's getting close, trade log. Why don't I see positions? Okay. So we talked about AMD, still waiting for AMD butterfly, still waiting for Amazon. GE, I did trim GE position. GE is pull back. GE pull back. Let's see where GE is. So for now, I would just wait for Fed decision on unemployment data, right? Because if by Friday we're below 500, that opens the door to 480, or 490 at least. And if we're above 500, we can probably revisit 510, 520 level. So right now, GE is at 160 level. It's overbought. I mean, it's still trading above this support level. You know, depending on Friday, if we're above 157, maybe it makes sense to add. Gold is very sensitive to interest rate. Obviously, it broke out to all-time high. It's consolidating now. I'm long gold and silver. LA Lilly, I'm out of LA Lilly. Merck. So Merck pulled back. Let's see. Merck did pull back together with the market yesterday. It's still above 50-day moving average, but it's below the open price after the earnings announcement, and basically closed the earnings gap. So pretty bearish price pattern. It still has, I mean, maybe give up more than half of the gain since earnings, but still above 50-day moving average. So for now, I'm just waiting, looking at the 50-day moving average. I mean, obviously, if it drops below this level, I would exit. Below 125, I would exit. But for now, it's still bullish price pattern. But it is facing a lot of overhead resistance at 132. So that's Merck. NVO, I trimmed the NVO position yesterday. Still trading at 128. NVO is announcing earnings. Let's see how much exposure do I have on NVO if I want to trim it more or not. He's announcing earnings in a couple of days. Just could drop 5%. Okay, so for now I'm good. Okay, so then I trimmed it, so I would just basically look at kind of worst case scenario for NVO. I think it's pretty well positioned at 122. So it could drop $6, which would be 5%. Right? I don't think it's going to drop below that level. I mean, it could if it has really bad earnings, but based on LA Lilly, probably will not. So, I mean, if it drops 5%, you want to be down less than $100. If you're going to be down more than $100, consider maybe trimming position. Definitely, if you're down more than $250 on $10,000. If you're down 2.5%, then I would trim. If you're down $100 at 122, then based on the earnings and market condition, maybe it makes sense to add. So that's NVO. I'm out of PayPal. QQQ put spread. QQQ put spread is, I think, doing good. Let's see what it's trading at. It's a June contract. June contract. I mean, it's still down, so there is a lot of volatility. Did drop significantly, but it's getting close. And then I do have spiders May. So right now I need to concentrate on spiders on May contracts. I do have spiders May. So the 470 put, it's trading at 50 cents. I closed the short put. So I mean, ideally, I want to close it. If it reach 490 level or 494 level, I would consider closing spiders May because not enough time, right? After this week, there's only 2 weeks left. AT&T not going anywhere. Let's see. I'm long Texas Instrument and I'm long XLE. Let's look at Texas Instrument. How it's doing after AMD and SMCI earnings. I mean, it's still holding the open print after the earnings and the breakout level. So for now, I think it's outperforming the market, right? Outperforming the peers. And that's what you want to see in performance of your positions. So that's good. We talked about briefly about XLE. So I trimmed half a position. Now it's a merit put, but 1-to-2 ratio, right? So I do have a put to hedge my position, 92 put, which I need to close right, and decide what to do with XLE. That's probably after the Fed decision. And I do have XLF put, which is almost profitable now. We're getting close. Let's see. I want to probably put an order. I do have an order. So XLF is also looks like trying to it looks like it completed wave A, B, and just like most of the indexes, it's or ETFs, it's right, the question is how far this third wave, the wave C, right, A, B, C, does it revisit the lows, like in case of high yield, or in case of Bitcoin, it actually dropped below April lows. So that's going to be factored by macroeconomic data. Earnings are kind of, I don't expect a lot from Apple, definitely not to move the market. So basically by Friday, we're done with most of the S&P 500 companies. And then the focus will shift to inflationary data and interest rates. Any questions? Spiders. Let's look at spiders. It looks weak, right? We made the new lows again today. So we're basically retesting last week low, right? We're retesting last week low, which is at 498, right? 500, call it 500. If this level 499, 498 doesn't hold, then 494, right? 494, 490. But it looks pretty bearish, right? It looks pretty bearish. And yeah, SMCI, I think, is losing ground. So it looks like SMCI is basically revisiting April lows, right? It's revisiting April lows and continues to grind lower. All right, it's 9:16. Scott will do the closing bell today, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow morning. Thank you very much. Let me just make sure I answer all the questions. Katie, guess, do you think spiders would be more apt to go down or up after Fed and for rest of the week? Based on my educated guess, I think Powell is going to sound hawkish, and I'm not closing my QQQ put spread or spider put. So I think if I have to pick the side, I think 510. We're probably not going to break above 510 in spiders, even with positive news, but we could be at 490, 480. So I think there's 10 points to the upside, at least 20 points to the downside. I think the risk is to the downside. So personally, I would continue to hedge. Faust, thank you. Carol, thank you. All right, guys, thank you very much. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Thank you.